Happy Friday, everybody. We made it. The start of another weekend. We are here for another edition of our virtual Touch a Truck, hanging out with the gas department. We're going to learn a little bit about their fleet, the tools that they use, some of their equipment. I want to introduce you to my coworker, Jason Blackwell. Jason, how's it going?
It's going good. Good morning.
A little chilly, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Tell me, how long have you worked here at CPW?
Altogether, I've been here 22 years.
22. Wow.
Yeah, I say altogether because I was here 3.5, 4 years, and I left for a short period of time and came back, so been here ever since.
So what exactly do you do here at CPW?
I work in our natural gas department. I have since day one.
Yeah.
And do anything from meter sets for new customers, new customer accounts, to responding to gas leaks, static protection, testing regulator stations, just about anything to do with natural gas. So.
Wow, that's really cool. What would you say is that you like the most about working in the gas department?
The most? The people I work with, I mean, first and foremost, and our customers definitely is meeting new customers on a daily basis. So that's one cool thing about utility business is meeting new people every day, and you're not doing something monotonous over and over and over.
Yeah.
It's it may be the same concept, but you're in a different location. So meeting new people, whether it be a residential customer, a commercial, industrial. So probably the best way.
And speaking of customers, it's kind of interesting that our landscape for natural gas is the largest out of all of the utilities that we service. They go all the way up Landrum, Taylor's.
Yeah, it goes from Landrum, just this side of I-26 in Landrum, all the way down to Crescent, which is almost in Woodruff. Not quite to Woodruff, but it's pretty close.
And that's wonderful. We probably have about 15 natural gas employees that service all of that area.
That's correct.
Yeah, great. So tell me a little bit about your truck here. You've got it very organized. I always love that about you because you always keep such a clean truck. So tell me a little bit about the tools that you have on your truck that would help you do your job.
Well, the basic tools are pipe wrenches are probably some of the biggest things we use as far as connecting or disconnecting meters. We have a lot of test gauges and stuff we use for checking pressure. We have instruments that we'll get to in a little bit that will help us identify where a leak is located, whether it be above ground, below ground. So yeah, I mean
So it looks like you're pretty well set up for, it's like any tool you might need for any different situation, you've got it.
just about.
Yeah, especially because you said how many years? 22. Wow. I can imagine you've seen a lot over the time and the growth that's been happening in Greer.
Yeah, it's totally different from what it used to be. So Greer's come a long way. It's not the little dot on the map anymore. It's really grown a lot, and it's still growing. So, but yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. For any of the kids that are tuning in, if you've got questions for Jason as we go over the truck and his equipment, feel free to type the question or have your parents type the question there in the comments, and I'll get them answered for you. So tell me a little bit about maybe like a normal work day for you, 8 to 5, or does it depend?
Yeah, normally is 8 to 5. Of course, I mean, in the utility industry, regardless of what department you're in, it may be midnight. You know, problems happen and issues come up. So our customers are most important, and we do whatever we need to do to keep their lights on and their house warm and water flowing or whatnot. So, but on a normal day, yes, it's 8 to 5. So, and on a typical day, it's doing home inspections for the builders to release gas inspections for the new buyers, or it could be responding to odor complaint inside, outside. It could be some pressure issues. And in between that, we have regulatory stuff that we have to do as far as our CP system, regulator station maintenance. We have a certain amount of stations that we test every month, and to make sure that those stations are operating properly and safely. And that part of it is very, very critical. Because a regulator station serves an entire community, so it's very crucial that they operate properly and safely.
Yeah, and not only that the equipment is operating as efficiently as possible, but employees have to stay up on certain criteria and certifications as well.
That's correct.
Yeah. Tell me what type of training you have to work here in the gas department.
Well, there's different levels. From the start, I began on construction, running taps, digging ditches, putting lines in the ground, and I started on rainy days. I would ride with a coworker, learning about service work and how a lot of this stuff operates.
Yeah.
So training for is like your journeyman or masters in pipe fitting, and we move on into corrosion, learning about our cathodic protection. Every 2 or 3 years, we have operator qualifications that covers everything that we do. It's you sit down and you go through a program online and take a test or an exam at the end, and not only that, then you have to go do field evaluations, and you're graded out in the field to make sure that you're following those steps properly and safely. So
yeah, natural gas is something that you don't necessarily want to play with. So you've got to be smart. You've got to stay up on your certifications and make sure that you know your stuff.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's walk around to the other side here. We're actually on the back side of Greer CPW's property near a CNG station. So I want to have Jason, and this is the back part of his vehicle, some of the other tools that he might need. So here we are, the back side of our CNG station. Tell me, Jason, a little bit about what exactly a CNG station is and what it does.
The CNG station is, this station serves these dispensers for compressed natural gas. That's what CNG is abbreviated for. This truck actually, on the other side, has a CNG tank mounted inside. It's dual fuel. It will run on compressed natural gas or, regular octane. So, and this station here is set up to these compressors will actually store natural gas into these cylinders. It goes to a process, it goes to a dryer, and it's stored. So when we have customers, garbage trucks, fleet vehicles, or just everyday customer, they'll pull up and fill up just like they would at a regular service station.
And folks that may remember my original virtual Touch-A-Truck, we highlighted my work vehicle, and that is also dual fuel, just like Jason's truck. So I understand that CNG kind of burns cleaner, and it allows, and longer too, than regular octane.
Correct.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Much cleaner.
It's a neat feature because I know the City of Greer trucks, Ace Environmental, some of like UPS trucks, AT&T, they use it, especially trucks that are going to be on the road a long time. Just maybe idling. It's better for the environment. That's cool. All right, so the fun part, Jason actually rigged up something for us. So Jason, show me exactly what you've got for us here.
This here is traditional meter setup for residential home.
So this is what homeowners would likely see if they've got natural gas service on the side of their house. Yeah. What
they may not necessarily see these test ports. Like I said, this test port doesn't stay here all the time. This is a test port that we use when we test this regulator for lockup. So this regulator is very, very critical. This is the heartbeat of everything that's working. The gas pressure is crucial, and it has to function properly to help the appliances to function properly. So this test port here is where we can monitor line pressure. It could be just for regulatory stuff, test pressure. It could be that we've had a gas main hit in a community or a neighborhood, and we've had to isolate certain sections and trying to backfeed, and technicians would go out and locate these test ports, and they would plug their gauge in, and they would monitor that pressure to make sure that we don't lose hundreds of customers. You know, it's unfortunately sometimes we lose a few or quite a few, but in most cases we're able to monitor our pressure and change isolation valves or open or close certain valves to prevent that from happening. So when this stuff is set up, like I said, this is for our line pressure to make sure that we're where we need to be as far as main pressure, which is typically could be 35 to 60 psi in some places. This test port here will test the regulator, so you could have 35 psi, 45, 50, 60 psi on this inlet side of this regulator. But when it comes out of this regulator, this particular regulator meter is set up for 2 psi, which is a pretty big drop. So we also have a low pressure meter that looks identical. Everything looks identical except for the color of this cap here on this node of the regulator, and the index is gray or white. So, and it would be a low pressure system. It's a quarter of a pound. So you're talking 40, 50, 60 psi to quarter of psi, quarter pound of pressure to operate these appliances.
So do you have to be pretty good at math to be in the natural gas department? Because you're throwing a lot of pounds and psi's at me.
It doesn't, I mean, math is crucial in some cases. So, it sounds a lot harder than it really is. But, that's the things that you learn from cross training and the stuff that we do online and do in the field, and we're trained in-house on some things, and in some cases we go to seminars for a day or 2 or 3, and we're trained there. So
it's cool. What kind of advice would you offer some kids? I know growing up, a lot of people see the fire or the police service. They don't necessarily think utility work, but that's an essential service that we provide to the community. What advice would you offer to some young kids that are maybe looking to find a career?
My advice, I remember as a kid, I think a lot of kids, like you said, they want to be a fireman, police officer, or work on an ambulance or whatever, but you'll change your mind, several times. The most important thing is to have fun and study hard and put school first. And, as you get a little older, then if the utility business or industry is what you want to be in, then, just work hard at it. Don't give up.
And make sure it's a job that you really enjoy doing every day, Right. Yeah, that's great. Well, the last thing that I want to end on is the importance of 811. We talk about that utility-wide, but specifically with natural gas, because how dangerous it can be. So why, in your opinion, is it always so important for people to call 811 before they do any digging in their yard?
Well, first of all, it's a law that if you're going to break ground, it doesn't matter if it's for a small plant, a tree, or irrigation, whatever. It's extremely important to have your utilities located. It can be very, very dangerous, very costly. And not only could you hurt yourself or somebody, you could hurt people around you. You could hurt neighbors. When you fail to call 811 and you tear into a 4-inch main like this piece here, there's a lot of gas released in the air. And not only is it just released into free atmosphere, it follows least resistance, and it's going to travel where it can go the easiest, just like water. So it could go into someone's home, it could get into drains or sewer lines, and that is extremely dangerous when it gets into sewer lines and it starts accumulating inside of a home or under a home in confined walls that you may not even have an odor, and then this damage happened that could have been prevented if someone had have called 811. And sometimes it's an emergency, and they're like, we got to dig now. but it's important to stop and just really think a minute, you know, because sometimes getting in a rush can cost you a lot.
And how do you know, like, what is that smell that you know that maybe you smell gas in the area and you're not supposed to?
Well, a lot of folks will refer it to like a sewer odor or rotten eggs. We get calls quite a few times with fire ant killer. I mean, if you've ever smelled fire ant killer, it's awful. I hate it. But natural gas can be similar, you know, and every nose is different. So someone may smell it for what it is, and others just recently went just a couple of days ago to a gentleman's house, had an odor for a few days now, and it was a lawnmower battery that was on charge. And I've come across that a number of times. The battery had been on charge for about a month, and they will produce an odor. And it can be similar to natural gas.
Wow.
I mean, it smells like rotten eggs in some sense. Now, being in the utility industry for quite some time, I can usually step foot in the door and I can say it's not gas, you know, just because I've been around it. But for someone who doesn't really know exactly what the odor is, if you're not sure, call. It doesn't matter what time of day or night it is. If you're not sure, call us. We've got somebody 24/7.
That's
We'd
right.
be more than happy to come out there. It doesn't matter if it's 2 in.the morning. That's why we're here. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for letting us learn a little bit more about the natural gas department. Hope that it is a great and safe weekend for the rest of our viewers tuning in. And if you have any questions, always feel free to call us or comment here in this video, and we'll get them answered for you. See you guys.